This is March 3rd, 2009, and this is part of the Yungeberg family from Blue Rapids. Gerald and Frances Yungeberg were our parents. This is Nancy Walker, Pat Davis. This is Jerry Yungeberg and Selene, his wife, and I'm Carol Kurtz. Mary Alice was sick tonight and couldn't be here. The same with Marjorie. And Mike lives in North Carolina and Beverly lives down by Topeka. So this is the group of us that are available tonight. What did you want to know, Nancy?
Well, just go ahead and start with your family, maybe how they came in.
Okay, the history that I got from like a second or third cousin that lives in California that had went to she'd went to Germany, and she went over into Poland, which used to be called Prussia. That part of it was Poland at the time, but then it was Prussia, and then later it became part of Germany. That's when all the wars took place and the boundaries and everything, the borders changed. Some of it I have written here, and I don't know. I know I don't have a complete one. The first thing was that Michael Yungeberg was born in Poland, and not a whole lot is known about him because the church where he went and his family went was bombed, lost during the bombing. All the records was lost. But then he married, was that Henrietta Steinke that he married?
No, that was Grandpa. That was Grandpa that married
Julia.
Henrietta.
He married Julia Schreiber.
Julia
yes.
Schreiber.
And Gottfried Yungeberg married Julia Schreiber later. She came to America because she was known as a witch. They kind of ran her out of Germany because she was a midwife, and a practicing midwife in Germany, if something went wrong, you were considered at fault. Well, the story is, which is undocumented, but the story is that she delivered Kaiser Wilhelm's son, him and his wife's baby, and the baby was born deformed or with like a hip out of socket or something, and they blamed it on her because he was crippled when he was born, and so that's why she was run out of Germany. And I've heard this story from several different sources, and you know, they all say the same thing. Mm-hmm. But now, you know, where the story originated from, whether it really is true, I don't know. Julia Schreiber was a very stern looking woman. Do you have a picture of her, Nancy?
Yes, I've got two pictures of her.
And Daddy called her a witch, and when one of his stories was, yeah, he was afraid of her.
At a younger age, and on the back
afraid
is
of her.
right before she died.
He had hurt his arm some way, cut it or something, and it was infected. And his dad and they went to her house. This is when she lived with one of Dad's uncles, and they went over to his house, and somebody said something that the little boy had an arm that was infected, a sore or something, and he really hated to have her look at it, but she looked at it and cleaned it up and put some kind of stinky stuff on it, and it just healed up slick as anything. And but he remembered she always wore black dresses, and they were real rustly. You could hear her coming. And she always had a scowl on her face, he said.
You ought to have Bonnie here, and
yeah,
because Bonnie can tell you some stories that Arabella and her mother and them told about.
Bonnie Weitzel.
See, they were
about
cousins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her
On Dad's
grandma
side.
and my dad were brother and sister. No,
No, first cousin.
first cousins.
Yeah.
Her grandma and my grandpa were brother and sisters.
but when Julia Schreiber came to the United States, when she left Germany, she left with another, with another man.
Oh.
And which was what was
Open
his
that
name?
closet door up now.
Friedmark.
Friedmark, yeah, was
Friedmark.
his last name.
Von Friedmark.
Yeah. And she left behind her 2 sons. And the 2 sons, all right, I don't have their names written down here.
I'm not for sure either.
But she left behind her 2 sons in Germany, and he helped her, and they sent money 2 different times for the 2 sons to come to the United States. Why she didn't bring them along, we don't know, but
I think she was in a hurry.
yeah, I think
she
she
had
was.
to
She was in, yeah,
escape.
she was in a hurry.
She had to
And-
escape or they were gonna kill her.
And the story so goes, and I don't know how true it is, but they say Uncle Otto, Delmer Yungeberg's, our cousin, my daddy's cousin, Uncle Otto's house was where our great-grandparents grew up at, and when they built it, homesteaded there when they first came. And the story goes that her medicine bag is still up there. Was
What
still
happened
up
to
there,
it?
someplace in amongst the things.
So where's the location of the house?
It's out across the, you know where the
Fawn Creek?
Pleasant, Mount Pleasant, Kiefover,
Oh, yes.
schoolhouse is.
Mhm.
Well, the bridge is just right straight there.
Mm-hmm.
Was just right across the river.
Oh, okay.
On the
That's
north
where my
side of the
dad,
river.
that's where my
Road
dad
there.
grew up.
Everybody calls it the Yungeberg Bridge
Yeah.
Okay.
for
But-
that reason. I mean, because it was.
But Floyd lived there, Floyd Yungeberg, and he
For
was
a long time. and he
eccentric,
was-
you know, he was weird,
Mhm.
is what he was.
But I think
And he
in
wouldn't let
asking-
anybody in there to even look.
Oh,
And when they had the sale, it wasn't found, so
Yeah.
he
the
evidently disposed of it before.
the old cousin that lives in Florida or Texas was who I heard had that old medicine bag of
somebody-
hers.
Hmm.
But the cousin died. She was old and she died, so they don't know what happened to it. It's one of those
It may
things, you
come
know.
back.
Ought to have Ada come too.
Ada
But,
Glanzer.
Ada, yeah,
Yeah.
she could probably tell some.
Uncle Glenn and Aunt Esther, this Dad's brother, and that's there when they were young. The
That's
girls
taken
were all
out
at
of-
home. Marge
That's
Borick,
taken out on the
Ada
Swanson
Glanzer,
place.
Jerry Caffrey, and Verna Brown. And that's Dad's older brother, Glenn. And
These are his children?
yes, it's 4
Okay.
girls,
Marge Borick and Jerry Caffrey, we know.
And Ada Glanzer
Mhm.
and Verna Brown.
Okay.
And Aunt Esther was a Radford. And if you've heard of Red Radford that was killed in the cave-in and the mine, that was her
Mhm.
brother.
That was the story
Uh-huh.
that I was telling you about, Pat.
Now,
knew.
this family lived out that direction also?
Oh, they lived
They
here in Blue
lived here
Rapids
in
for a
Blue
long
Rapids,
time. They
down
lived,
by the
yeah.
park where Tina Jackson lives,
Okay.
down there. And
For a
Dad
long-
helped, Dad and Jerry and them helped cut that. It was a 2-story house, and they cut the top off and made it into a modern, it was a very nice house when they got finished.
Where Tina lives?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
They fixed it all up, and it
Two-story,
was
full
a really
two-story
nice
house.
house.
And
Can
they
you-
lived other places when
Can
they
you
were-
do the names like front row, left to right?
Okay, let's see. This is Jerry. And Verna's behind. And, oh, I have to see it head on. Ada's in the front, and Marge Borick is back here.
Right over here with the pearls.
Uh-huh, the pearls, and Aunt Esther and Uncle Glenn.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
No, they lived down
You
to
done?
Irving too.
Okay.
They lived at Irving
They
also.
lived outside of Irving on a farm.
He
And,
took care of the cemetery.
Up there for a long time.
On the hill.
Prospect Hill Cemetery.
Okay.
Yeah, he said when Freddie Borick got married, he said, well, I gotta go to Fred's funeral. Then he just laughed, you know, he was a pretty sober man. He was going to Fred's funeral, Fred was
Yeah.
getting married.
a story about this, about our great grandmother. that Jerry Caffrey always tells us, is she said, when you went to Grandma and Grandpa's house, you didn't touch anything. You just stood there. And if you looked like you even wanted to do something, she'd say 9, 9, 9. And Geraldine said, I looked up at Daddy and says, can't she count but just 9? Geraldine was telling me that just a while back.
The list of brothers and sisters that Grandpa Yungeberg had was, he was the oldest, and then Gustav, and then Roman, who Uncle Roman was blind. Dad had lots of stories about Uncle Roman. Because he even lived by himself out north of Waterville, out close by that Yungeberg Bridge, where you said that bridge was.
On the east side.
Yeah.
And he'd walk to Waterville by himself.
With his fiddle, he played in a band for dances and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah,
And then Julia
He played
was a
cello.
sister.
cello, well, whatever.
She died when she was 12 years old. And then Alvina Cook and Aunt Hulda Livergood, who was Dale Livergood's mother.
Yes.
From Waterville. And then Uncle Otto, and then Clara, and Ernest and Albert died as infants. So that's kind of a list of their.
And when I was at Al Adams' wedding, Mr. Berger told me that there is a cemetery out there on that place someplace.
Yeah, I think it's
And
north and west of the house out there, I think is the way I understood
So
it.
being a family cemetery.
Yeah, yeah.
this bottom
But there's
picture,
no markings or
Gra-
anything left anymore.
this is Uncle Roman. The bottom one is he's the blind one. He played the cello. That's his little house. He lived across the road east, across the bridge east. And Cooks lived across the road south from him. They had a regular little kind of a community out there, really. There was several houses out there. And Laura Regal told me that in the summertime, they would had a grove of trees down by the river, and they would have picnics. And my grandmother played the organ, and my grandpa and dad, and several of them played the fiddle and musical instruments, and they'd have dances and play croquet and just have a high old time.
Was he blind from birth?
No.
No,
No.
he got hit in
He
the
got,
head, or
well,
run into.
they were having last day, school day or something at the Keep Over school. And he ran around and he hit his head on the side of the schoolhouse and became blind.
That's what I remember Dad.
At that time, they didn't know what to do.
No.
did they?
No. But before that, he helped build Highway 9.
This is a picture of the whole family down there out on the porch of the Yungeberg homestead out there. It's Grandma and Grandpa and all my
Blind and married.
great aunts and uncles. My dad was a baby. Uncle Glenn was
I've got a
small.
glare on that on the right
glare?
side. That's
Okay.
better. That's
Okay.
a lot better.
This is Grandma and Grandpa.
Can she borrow your pen to point that?
Pointer.
This
Yeah.
is Grandma and Grandpa.
Say their names again, Grandma and Grandpa.
Henrietta and, what was Grandpa's name?
Rudolph?
No,
No, that was-
Grandpa. This is my Grandpa Rudolph and my Grandma Nancy. This is Aunt Clara. She never did get married. This is Uncle Otto Yungeberg, Delmer's dad. This is, Hulda Livergood, was Livergood. This is Elvina Cook, Bonnie's grandma. This is my Aunt Gertrude Woodward, my Uncle Glenn. This is my dad,
Your dad's name again.
Gerald.
Okay.
Uncle Les there?
And this is Uncle I'm not for sure who that might be Uncle Lester Yungeberg.
Let me see.
Looks
Got
like
a
his
real
picture was-
bad glare at the bottom where the kids are.
Picture was taken about 1912, it looks like. There's a question mark on there.
Yeah, my dad was born in 1905, so that would make him, he was probably 5 or 6 or so there.
Mhm.
So that would
Yeah.
be approximately what.
Still have a glare?
Probably some reunion or something.
Always going to, did you have a lot of reunions?
We still do.
You
We
still
have
do?
a lot
I
of
don't know if you-
reunions.
That's
yeah.
good.
Wants that one
Good.
too, but
We,
those are
Dad
just the
always
ones
drug
that
his
I
feet, he
brought,
never liked to go
ones
to them
that
very
video
much.
them.
Oh,
Just too, he said, everybody just talks at once and I can't understand anybody else, he'd say.
I don't know that one.
now did he speak, did they speak English in the home?
Didn't you
Oh,
have one
yes,
of those?
yeah, as far as I remember, they did, yeah.
That's.
Nancy, do you
mother of-
remember if they spoke English? Did
Mother
they-
and,
Yeah, it's
Your-
French.
any, do you remember any of the ancestors?
this is Francis?
I
Yeah,
don't,
this is
yeah,
I don't
French's here.
That was her
remember.
baby picture, or as young as she has.
And Francis, and her maiden name was,
Trying,
Trying.
oh,
Her
Oh, I-
name was really Lois.
Lois Francis.
Lois Francis was
Francis.
it.
All I've got is a glare. That's better. She's a sweetie.
mm-hmm.
Oh, here's a better picture.
Okay, ready for another one?
That was their
That's it,
25th
20.
anniversary. The other one is their wedding picture.
Oh, we'll do the wedding first then.
Yeah,
What do we have?
that's their wedding picture.
Yeah, she was beautiful.
She was.
And that, when was that year?
It was 1935, November 17th. And they got married over here in the Presbyterian manse by Reverend Tinklenberg.
Yes, Tinkling, we always laughed at that.
But this is a winter or a fall wedding. She's dressed pretty, well, like a sundress type thing.
I didn't think that was their wedding picture.
Let me see it.
Really?
No.
No.
I don't
Well,
think
that's
I did
just
think-
what
no,
I was
I don't-
But
told. I don't know.
No, I
It's
don't
probably,
think it
it's
is.
probably,
Maybe
uh,
it was in the spring
it's
after
probably
they got
about
married.
after they got married.
Pretty.
She
Yeah.
is, yeah, she's very, very.
Oh, do you want this one now?
Oh, I don't care, that's
I-
fine.
This
Here,
is
I
their
just brought-
25th. Mhm.
Mm-hmm, that was the picture from their 25th.
And I've got a glare.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
I think it was close to the,
yeah, I think it was too.
and that was yellow gingham with white daisies.
Oh, how fun.
Now
This was, oh, I'm sorry. That's Dad and Mom, and Jerry's the one with all the hair standing in the back.
Don't put that on there.
I did.
Dad and Mom. Okay,
Yeah.
there's your pointer.
Yeah, there's Mom, Francis, and Gerald. And this is Jerry, he's right there, he's got a lot more hair there.
Yeah.
This is my brother Mike and Mary Alice, see how blonde she was,
Oh.
and Margie.
Okay.
So,
And the baby.
the baby, yeah, that's the baby.
Who's
That's
the
Margie.
baby?
The baby
Oh, the
there.
baby on there is Charlie.
That's Charlie, Bev and
Oh.
Chuck's, I didn't even
Oldest.
think of that. Yeah, that's Bev and Chuck's oldest
Oldest
baby,
one.
little boy. Cause she was still having babies when we were getting married.
Yeah.
Well, Brian and Marge are the, or
Brian,
Brian and Marge are the
Margie's
same
5 months
close.
older than Brian.
What did you have a picture of?
I have a picture of the grandparents again and
Oh,
of the
okay.
this,
Okay, here's your pointer.
and, Grandpa, this is
You
Grandpa.
gotta tip it up toward me.
Great-grandpa. And he was born in Prussia in March 3rd, 1851. He come to America in 1865 at the age of 14, and he came to Kansas in 1881. She came from Germany. She was born March 25th, 1854, and she come to America in the early 1860s, and of course, she came with him. And my grandpa, this is Rudolph, this is my daddy's dad, they came on a train, and he was, I think, 8 or 9 years old when they came And this is, Otto Yungeberg and, Roman and Gustav and Rudolph. And then this is, Hulda Levergood and Clara and Alvina Cook. That's taken on the front porch of the old house out there too.
Okay, yeah.
What year did we move to Blue Rapids? I was in second grade and we moved to Blue Rapids.
So I was in the fourth.
I think I was about 5 years old when we moved.
Mhm.
And then, where did you live when you moved here?
Down at Genesee,
Yeah.
end
Same
of
place.
Genesee Street,
Genesee?
or Chestnut.
Chestnut. Yeah, where we always did, down.
Right straight
Where the
north of
dike-
Virginia
the dike
Jenkins,
is now.
clear down there to the end of the street. You go one block further than you can go now.
Okay, so
On
Smitty
the-
lives out there now.
No, it's
No.
over a block.
Oh,
Smitty is
there's
block
no
It's a
east.
block
houses.
east.
Block East, yeah, okay.
Block
Yeah.
west.
You go down,
West.
a block further than that corner house.
Well, you know where
And on
Betty
the
said he
east
lives?
side of the
Yes.
It's just down over the hill, right on that, on Chestnut Street. Yeah, and the street is
Two
gone
blocks
now.
down.
Yeah.
Okay, the other day, you had a map, Nancy,
Mhm.
and the map had, I told you Jefferson Cox. The land was plotted out. That is Jefferson Cox. That's my dad's grandfather. He and his wife Mary. And he's the one that I told you the story that got so depressed and felt so bad that he committed suicide by drinking carbolic acid that he cleaned the chicken house with. And was it one or two sons? It was two sons that he had that committed suicide also.
Well, it was after his first son had committed suicide that he did that.
Yeah, he just got
He
so
was so
down that,
depressed after his
That would do it, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
Wood.
his son was,
And-
went through the hardware store where, the warehouse is
and here's
in
the,
Waterville, and went out in the alley and went through the store and out in the alley and shot himself.
This,
And he was so depressed.
that is the house. It was the
that's a-
homestead.
yes, that
Yeah.
was the homestead house built from, across from the
Well-
golf course road, whatever that road is that goes back.
Okay.
That wasn't the original log, the original
Oops.
was a log cabin.
Yeah, the original was,
But this, you go south at the golf course.
At the
past
grain
those
bins, yeah,
and up
and
that
down
way.
around that curve and.
Right,
It was,
right by the gate going into the rock quarry now.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it is,
It was
right.
there
It's
for
right there on
many
that.
years, but now I don't
There's
think,
still some of it there.
is there?
Yeah,
there's, I think, one or two walls.
just little rocks piled up there.
Well, there's, I
Do you
haven't,
want more of
So this
the,
is the second house then?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is,
yeah,
yeah,
and this-
the other was, the other
Here's-
was log cabin.
Betty Knapp told a story about this,
that also
her,
is,
her
pictures of
grandpa
those.
and Grandma Yoakum bought this place after Grandma and Grandpa sold it. And, then I don't know whether they rented it to Garrett's or whether they sold it to Garrett's. But the original log cabin was there. And I guess, so the story goes, that Betty could tell you for sure what Al was, 'cause but he either got too drunk most of the time to cut wood, or else he was lazy or something, because he chopped up the log cabin and
So
burned
what
it
did
for
he burn?
wood.
But what did he burn it in if he cut up his house?
Well, they lived in that house. That was the house.
Okay,
He
I
built
see
the
what
rock
you mean now.
house
I was
and
gonna
then
say, he cut his house down around him.
instead of keeping it.
Is that the log cabin on the bottom then, or is that a outbuilding or something?
That was kind of like a barn that was across the road.
Okay.
The understanding that the log cabin
Kinda
sat
neat.
just right to the south and to the east of where this house sat, just from near corner to corner of it. Isn't this, that's where I was.
So do you want more of what happened to us after we got to Blue Rapids then, or What?
Whatever you want, wherever you want to go, we're doing
Yeah,
good.
kind of fun. Yeah, whatever
What
it
is,
is.
what was the
this is-
story, just a second, Nancy, what was the story, maybe you know it better than I do, that when our grandmother was a young girl, that she went down to get the cows and there was, saw an Indian down by the creek?
Yeah, that was this,
I mean, when she was,
but I don't-
real young, she
Yeah.
was born. She
And
was
they,
born
they,
there.
They walked right along Fawn Creek, right to the schoolhouse that was on the highway. They went to the schoolhouse that they tore down there on the highway. And,
Cute. That's Aunt Florence.
mhm.
She was a.
And on her way to school was where she saw the Indian?
No,
Or- oh.
down by the creek when she went to get the cows.
But the Indians went to the schoolhouse, or they were.
No,
No.
that
No,
the
they could
all
just
their
walk
all
there.
her brothers and sisters, all grandma's
She's
brothers
mixing her
and
stories.
sisters. Yeah. She brought in the Indians, and I wasn't thinking about the Indians. Grandma and all of her brothers and sisters went to that schoolhouse there on the highway that they
Fawn
got.
Creek.
Okay.
Where
And
you
they
turn just by the NCR.
Yeah, they walked. They
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
followed the creek, I guess.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any records or anything from those those old schoolhouses?
I've got in that book. I've got Grandma had a brother that was his name was Sam, and there was where Sam had got 100 in spelling,
Mm.
and so it had to have been. This is what I have written down here. They homesteaded on Fawn Creek, south and east of Waterville, lived and farmed there. They homesteaded in 1861. On June 6th, 1868, under the Homestead Act, was declared owner. Built a log cabin, smokehouse, stable, stock corral, cattle sheds, corn crib, chicken house, granary, pig pens, improved a spring, fenced in a garden.
Mm.
And this is, her name was Elizabeth Moore. This is my grandmother Yungeberg's mom and dad. Miss Jefferson Cox, and her name is Elizabeth Moore. She came from Kentucky.
He's the one that killed himself with carbolic
Yeah.
acid. I read, like there's
First
several
swallow.
people
Dip it
that
this
that's
way a
how they
little bit.
chose
Yeah.
their way.
And they were,
Something that was
That
handy.
first
I also-
swallow, you wouldn't taste it. but
I also
first
have
swallow, you
a